All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Daniel Stevens Unscripted. I am again your host, Daniel Stevens. I have a very special guest with us today. My agents, Mr. and Mrs. Steve and Lisa Lopez. Thank y'all for
Okay.
joining. Thank you for joining me today and taking time out of your day to uh, kind of shine a light on what Stisa does and how Stisa became the agency it is now. Um, when did Stisa originally start?
Well, first, we want to say thank you for having us, Daniel. We appreciate this, and of course, you're part of the Stisa family. We started in 2016, formally started in 2016, but we were originally Stisa Talent Development when we ran a home based business. We were doing consulting work and we were making appearances at other talent agencies and conducting training sessions for some of their talent. And people came to us and asked us if we, help them get started. And we took on one client, then we took on another client. And then next thing you know, we had enough clients to move into our own little studio on the west side of Spartanburg. And now we're in a bigger studio helping a whole lot of people. So this June will be 5 years
Oh, wow.
formally at Stisa
Wow.
Talent Agency.
And I've been a part of three of those years, I believe.
You have been. It's been a while, and you've been doing
It,
some things.
I
You've been
have been, all
doing
thanks to you guys and your hard work. Now, this all started with your son, Justin, right?
Yeah, this started with Justin. This started with Justin actually 11 years ago because Justin was in the fifth grade. I think it was like fourth or fifth grade. And now he's a senior in college at SCAD. And he was done, he did a little school play. He was Blue the Kangaroo. And then it looked super cute at Westview. He was just blue hopping about. And then he went on and he did a church play at what at the time was Redemption World Outreach Center in Greenville. And then from there, he got signed with an agent in Charlotte. And they admitted after a year they didn't know what to do with him. So then Big Papi took him to California and New York, and he's worked in all those different markets. And we've learned a lot by helping him. So by helping him, that actually showed us what we could do to help other people. But at the same time, we were making industry connections when we would, take Justin somewhere. And as a kid, and anybody that's in the industry under the age of 18, a parent has to go with them. So we would go, and of course, we have a chance sometimes to meet some of those casting directors as well. And we just kept those contacts, and now here we are helping 100 people at a time.
Now, you mentioned making contacts, and as an agent, you do a lot of networking.
Mhm.
There's a lot of classes that y'all take, even as agents, that you bring on, that you reiterate to the actors and actresses. What is kind of give us like a brief day by day process from the point you're up, contacting casting directors, submitting actors. Like, what's the day by day process like?
Every day is different. There are some days when we're busier than others. Um, there are some days when it's extremely busy. There are some days when it's not so busy, but every day there's something to do, either on the casting director side or on the age or on the actor side. So my goal is to put our Stisa family members in front of these casting directors, and a lot of that involves us seeing, all right, what is it that the casting directors are working on this week? What do they have coming down the pipeline, maybe for next week? And making sure that our actors are ready to be submitted to those casting directors for those roles. So it might be that today we start off in the mornings with casting directors on the East Coast because there's a 3 hour difference between those on the West Coast. So we start off in the mornings with those on the East Coast, and we'll make sure that our actors have their profiles set up and that they're ready to be submitted to those casting directors. And we try and have them submitted to those casting directors by 6 o'clock. Not saying that, everyone's cutoff time is at 6, but we try and have them submitted by 6 o'clock. And then usually after 2 o'clock, I'll hear from the ones on the West Coast. And then they're wanting some more of the same thing. Then the ones that we will have submitted earlier on, they'll start sending in their audition notices and says, hey, we want to see this person, or we want to see that person. And then of course we have to notify the actor that, hey, this casting director wants to see you guys, and you have an audition that you need to turn around by this particular deadline, and this is what they want you to do. And then, make sure that they get everything submitted back to us in time for us to give it back to that casting director. So it's a lot of negotiating, a lot of putting all the strings together, a lot of time management, meeting deadlines, all of that to make sure all the pieces fit together like a nice little hand and glove.
And let me add this, during all that, while that's happening, there's also auditions going on throughout the day too.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah,
pretty much where I step in. I do
yeah,
about,
Mr.
yeah, like 95, 98%. I'd say about 98% of the auditions, and that goes on every day, all throughout the day. So
Mhm.
she's got the one end of it that she does at the, at the house, and then I take care of the business over here on this end with the auditions.
Yeah,
And of
because
course the
typically,
process, you can't, but I'm sure you'll get to that.
yeah, because typically once an actor is submitted for a role, usually within either be the same day or next day, we get a notice, a C-mail, as we call it, for an audition. And typically the turnaround is anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. Mr. Steve, what is your best advice to anybody who's getting into acting, especially because you, like you said, you tape a lot of the auditions. Um, what is kind of take us, give us advice, but also take us through the process from what you see day in and day out with the auditions, how to prepare an actor.
Well, being an actor is being somebody who's always prepared and ready for the opportunity. So, in between classes and when you're living your regular life, you can't ever really just take off your actor's hat. You got to constantly be learning because when you become an actor, you also become a student of people, emotions, feelings, and you see how people deal with things. So, you're an actor 24/7. So, when an opportunity comes, you'll be ready. It's not like you're starting off cold, but there is a grind. If you have memorization issues on lines, perhaps practice your lines or practice any kind of paragraph or something. Always keep your mind sharp and ready to go. And also, it wouldn't hurt to do research. Actors are probably good actors anyway, probably among the best researchers on the planet. You know, with the internet nowadays, there is no reason why an actor can't dive into the character from any number of different perspectives. So I'd say, you wait on your audition, you do the very best you can, and you always get ready for the next one. It's never an ending thing. So, if this is going to be part of your life, then there are certain things that you have to do throughout the day. Just like we do throughout the day in the business, that's one end of it. Well, the actors have, their end of it, and that's to always be prepared as best they can.
Hmm. And
Yeah,
then
because as
that's always being prepared because you don't ever know when an audition is going to come. There is
hmm
no rhyme or reason. I might submit someone today and they receive an audition notice today, or I might submit someone today and they receive an audition notice next week. It's just whenever casting gets to it, if casting picks them or not, there's no guarantee casting's going to always pick someone. And, I don't tell actors a lot of times that, hey, I submitted you for this role, but they didn't pick you because I don't want them to be crushed. But in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, geez, I submitted this person for that role I'm seeing on TV. They should have got an audition. I think they would have been better. Of course, I always think Miss Stisa family would be better than, the people that they pick. But it's a lot that go on behind the scenes too.
yeah, and just I think that's what a lot of I get that question a lot. They think because I'm an actor that I've got it easy, like there's all these things, like I'm living a good life. But the thing is, I'm not. I mean, I am when I'm on set. It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of things that goes behind being an actor, being able to put yourself in front of these casting directors, showing who you are as a person, but who also
Right.
you can bring to life in this character that they're uh, that you've been submitted for to audition.
Right.
Um, and so, and I've had so much fun, especially an experience, especially on sets, because the great thing, another thing about being an actor, when you're on set, you get to meet all these other wonderful actors, and you get to, kind of pick their brain, like how do they get prepared for auditions? How do they memorize their lines? Because a lot of times we can get auditions that, I mean, it's just pages beyond pages of lines. And like Mr. Steve has done with us in passing classes, like giving us a script and that's got all these, I mean, just a lot of lines and giving us like 5 to 10 minutes to memorize, and then we try to repeat them back. So
Right.
there's all these little cool and unique techniques to to get prepared, and it's always fun just to talk to somebody else who's been in the same shoes that we have been, but have gotten as far as they have.
Right.
There's people who, it's easy to sit on the couch, and this is part of the development. I understand it's easy to sit on the couch and say, I could do that. They have no experience or anything, but that's where it starts, where you feel you can do it. But where a lot of actors or prospective actors drop out is when they can't cut the grind.
Hmm.
There is a grind to it, but it's like the way you go into it, you'll determine if you're going to enjoy it or not. You have to look at this whole thing as a journey. And the biggest part of this journey is not you on set, it's you preparing to be on set.
Hmm.
So when you sit there and you say, I could do this, then, there's a lot of other things to consider because show business pretty much will take over your life.
Right.
So many people get into this business and they just don't realize the chunk it's going to take out of their lives.
Well, babe,
Hmm.
too, a lot of people, they'll say, okay, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And we send them that audition notice and they get it and they're all excited. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's a Queen Sugar. I've always wanted to be on Queen Sugar. That's an Oprah show. And they get the audition and then they realize, I have to learn this script and I have to be able to do it two different ways. Really? And I have to do it by tomorrow. And, panic sets in. And that's where
Hmm.
that preparation that you were talking about comes in. It's like, oh, am I able to learn, memorize a page and a half and have it turned around by tomorrow and act it out two different ways? And it's like, what do you mean by two different ways? So they do it. And then if they don't book, then I start getting little text messages. Miss Lisa, have you heard back from casting? Mm-mm. Miss Lisa, and it's like day two. Have you heard back from casting? Mm, day three. Oh, geez, Miss Lisa, I really want this part. I know, I wanted you to get it, but didn't happen. And then they get bombed out. And that's
Hmm.
when you see, oh my gosh, okay, I didn't get this one. I must suck. I must be bad as an actor or an actress. And they want to quit. It's like, no, you can't quit because you got one rejection notice.
Hmm.
Actually, they don't notify you. And I guess that is the notice if they don't contact you and say you booked or you have callback. So, um, a lot of people can't handle the rejection that comes in this
Hmm.
business. And we tell them just stay the course, keep on the journey because the rewards are super, super sweet.
Oh yeah.
Really, really sweet. But if you quit after that first audition or the second one or the third, no,
Hmm.
then you're never gonna get that reward, you
Hmm.
know?
You can't think of the money in this business. It's an art, it's a discipline. So, you want to make sure you keep it in that perspective. Money will come and, it follows. It's like the tail of the business, it goes wherever you go. You're going to get paid, you're going to get money, and you're going to get all that. But, you still have to perfect the craft. And it's an ongoing lifetime thing. It's not, okay, I've been in this business now 20 years. I know all there is to know. That's not true. You can always get better. Always, always.
Especially because the industry always
Yeah,
changes.
there's always
It's
changes.
constantly changing. There was a time when to do an audition, we used to have to go from place to place and audition in person. And then we started right before COVID hit, we started seeing some of the casting directors lean more to, okay, we want to see a self tape. And then when COVID hit, we saw, okay, we want some self tapes, but then there are some we want you to audition through Zoom or, just some live format. And so it's like it's constantly changing. And all of this has been in a span of 11 years. So even if someone's been in this business 20 years, the people that are running it change, the way they run it changes, especially as technology comes along and makes it easier for me to shoot someone's profile to California to Disney or to, the East Coast for something else. So I can shoot a profile to New York just as easy as I can to Atlanta, just as easy as I can to California. So it all works, but it's constantly changing.
Let me say this also, and I know you got a bunch of questions, but this is, I just want people to know that it does seem like it was a lot more fun in the early days when we got into it, because you had to go in for every audition. This was before, everybody doing their auditions on video and you send it in. Before it was, you have an audition, you got to be in, such and such place. It's like, the anticipation of going there and being in front of the people. Now it's almost feels like a sport for one person. It's like you just by yourself throughout the whole process, as opposed to going someplace in the anticipation of, doing your 5-minute audition. So the things have changed a lot in this business, and some good, some maybe not so good, but nonetheless, it usually flips around. What's not so good, 6 months from now, it's gonna be totally different. It'll be better, and then what's good might, go a little sour. But you just it's a whirlwind all the way around for us as well as the actor.
Right.
Now we have Stisa has an open call coming up, correct, on April 17th.
Right. April 17th at 10 o'clock at the Stisa Studio in Spartanburg, 222
So
Blackstock Road.
So kind of take us through the process of how the open call works from the time that you put it out on your internet website, which I will be posting at in the link below, how you can go and sign up for the open call. But from the process of signing up from the day of the open call, how does that actually work, and kind of give people like an understanding of how to be prepared if they do decide to show up for the open call?
Okay. So we typically post future open calls on our Facebook page. So we have this one scheduled for April 17th at 10 o'clock. They're always on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. Always, always, always. So we will post it on our Facebook page. It's usually posted on our website. And then what happens, we make it an event on our Facebook page. And I usually create something that people can share with, others on social media. And that's how we get our word out. We haven't paid for advertising. We probably will at some point, but we haven't yet, because y'all have been so great about spreading the word about our open calls. And people, what they can do, they can register on our website. If they click the link on the open call and they register, then we will send them the registration form in advance. We'll tell them about ourselves, what we look for, what they need to do to be prepared, which is prepare a family-friendly monologue and bring a photo that we can keep. And we'll probably ask them a few questions. And they will perform that monologue in front of everyone. Of course, that's after COVID checks, for temperature and sanitizer and social distancing. They'll perform that monologue in front of everyone. And if we think you guys will be a good fit, then we'll send them an offer letter within 2 weeks, and probably that same week. And then they attend an orientation, and that orientation has been extremely helpful in letting us get them prepared for this industry. I think if we had an orientation, when we started with Justin 11 years ago, and it was helpful. This one is beefier. So a lot of people have said it really helped them prepare. We don't say what we talked about in the orientation, but it has been instrumental in helping our actors get prepared. And then from there, it starts. After the orientation, it starts. So the best thing to do is when you come in for the open call, you bring your patients, because we usually see people in the order that they arrive. Bring your patients, be prepared to audition and perform in front of everyone, and then leave and expect to hear from us. If we want to make you an offer. If we don't make you an offer, you won't hear from us.
A big part of this is also a change of life, orientation, because you're introducing a whole new industry that requires, a lot of your time and effort, because this is truly one of those businesses where what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Right.
And if you half step, then you're going to have a half step in career. So, it's also trying to explain to them where they're going to have a different lifestyle and how to prepare for that.
Yeah, because it is a lifestyle. It is a big sacrifice you have to make. You got family that you want to spend time with, but you also got a job to do. You've
Mhm.
got preparing to do. I mean, for example, I mean, when I'm shooting ATL homicide, I could be gone for a whole week. That's a whole week
Mhm.
I'm away from my wife, my daughter, my family, and it can be hard at times being far away and not seeing them. But at the same time, like you said, the reward is always there when you see
Right.
yourself on TV for the first time, doing big things and everything. So the reward, like you said, is always there. It's just a lot of people don't understand what it takes to be an actor or actress. I mean, once you actually are, constantly working full time, it becomes a little easier because you adapt. But there's still always work to be done. There's always, because
Mhm.
even, like these bigger actors like Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, they're still constantly taking classes, being educated,
Mhm.
just to keep everything fresh.
Right.
Um, and so and that's something that Stisa has always done as well with the classes, keeping us fresh, keeping us on our toes for sure.
Right.
Um, and that's something that you get with Stisa. Not only do you get hardworking agents, you get classes, you get education, you
Right.
get you get help with auditions as far as taping goes. So I think anybody who is highly considering this route need to, have a big opportunity to be part of something or a part of a group. Not really a group. We call ourselves a family
Right.
because we are family. We're always rooting for each other. We may be
Right.
auditioning for the same thing, but we're still. If like me and another actor do the same audition, he gets it. I don't. I'm gonna be congratulating him, because that's a big thing.
Right.
And that's how we are at Steve. So we're always there. We always had each other's back, and that's one thing. The atmosphere is just always positive and awesome. And um, I want to kind of have a little fun, let y'all have a little fun at my expense here. We'll start with Steve. From the point I came in for my first open call to now, you got somebody who has no acting experience, comes in, doesn't even have a resume, does an open call, signs with Stisa. What is your most fun and memorable moment that we've had since I've been with Stisa? I think I already know Miss Lisa's.
Yeah.
You already know what mine is, Daniel.
I think probably the most fun we had is when you did an audition. I believe it was for Doctor Who, where you were a priest who had a baby and you got sucked back into the vortex. I think we had the most fun with that one because in the beginning we didn't know, well, how we're going to shoot something like this. We
Yeah.
got one of those silk robes from our dressing room over here, and you took off your shirt, you put it on. I mean, it was being filmed, waist up, and then with the bald head, it just got more as we progressed during that audition. It got more and more fun, and then we were just experimenting. Well, how are we going to do this? And we did it. Now, of course, we didn't get the part, but it was certainly wasn't because of because of what you did with it. Apparently, they were doing just for a look or something like that. But I think we did a great job on that, and it was probably the most fun I can remember.
And y'all did do a good job because that casting director sent him subsequent auditions
Okay.
since then. So if he wouldn't have done a great job, that casting director, who has an Emmy Award, definitely would not have sent Daniel any more auditions.
Well, there you go. So you see.
Right? So that's how you know he did a good job. Daniel, we've had a lot of memorable moments. Of course, um, I want to say one of them, actually, I can think of three right off the top. Number one was when you did the audition for the North Carolina Education Lottery.
I knew
And
that was coming.
I got to tell you, Daniel, you booked. And you're sitting there looking at me like, okay. And I'm excited because seldom, if ever, does a notice come in while I'm right there with the person. And I'm reading my email, I pick up my phone, and it's like, oh, we have a booking for Daniel. He actually booked. And I'm sitting here thinking, do I tell him now or do I tell him later? It's like, I got to tell him now. And I'm excited because I get to tell you got your first booking and this was something big, right? And I tell you, and you just stared at me. And I'm like, what? Where's the reaction? Where's the reaction?
Yeah, I
You know?
remember we were sitting there, and Justin, us three were sitting in there, and Justin had the camera rolling. He's like, I'm gonna tape his response.
Yes.
And then
There wasn't one. I was like, oh man. It was like, Justin, you stop the camera now. All right. There's no reaction. I was waiting to see this, like, oh my gosh, what? Seriously, I booked my first booking, and it didn't come. I'm like, oh, all right. So then again, so you book ATL homicide, a recurring role as Detective Zimbri. And again, I was with you when I found, well, I knew the day before, but I was like, I'm going to see him tomorrow. So I'm just going to wait and tell him this, that it was going to be shown overseas. And I told you this in front of everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh, this scene is perfect for breaking this news to him. Everybody is sitting here and we got big news. Daniel's international now. And you just stared at me again. I'm like, oh my gosh, come on. Come on, Daniel. No more delayed
Yeah.
reactions.
I know I'm very bad because I remember when you called me when I originally booked ATL back in 2018. Yeah, because I signed with y'all in 2018 because I did the North Carolina commercial, but I did like kind of small things before that.
Hmm.
But I was, me and Megan were in New York, and we got back, and like they know what to say. It was the very next day. We hadn't even been off the plane for 12 hours, and you sent me a text, and you were like, "Are you available for this date?" Which was like 2 days after we just got back, and I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And then you call me, and you said you just, booked a detective role for this show, and then you called me. I think was about an hour after that and said it was a recurring role. Now, if you could, of course, you didn't see my reaction at that point, but I was dancing in my car. I promise.
You really?
I was.
I
I
refuse to believe
I
it.
do show excitement. I do have the worst delayed reactions.
Now I
Um,
know. Okay, no camera rolls for Daniel's big announcement.
Show business is a visual thing. We have to see.
I'm just keep a camera on me at all times.
Okay.
Hmm. I'll
Just see
wait
what
30
happens.
minutes and then the reaction will come.
Reality TV, right?
Well, it's funny because even in class, when you make your announcements and you're going through, okay, who's already booked, who just came from set, uh, even if it's just like, okay, you got to audition for Spike Lee. I mean, that's pretty big because I had an audition for him
Hmm.
a couple years ago. That was a lot of fun. Um, Not to do too many name drops, but if you want to share like who we've already worked with, who we're currently in the process of working with, like a lot of these big productions, if you want to name drop a little bit.
We work with a lot of casting directors. A lot of them have us saved in their contacts now. At some point, I thought about this. I was like, you know what? All these people are saving us in their contacts. I should make a video of all these big companies, that have saved us in their contacts. And these are companies like Disney and Oprah's casting team and
Marvel,
Marvel's casting team and ABC
Tyler
and
Perry.
NBC and Tyler Perry Studios. And I mean, it's like the list goes on and on and on. And then, of course, you know, we've worked on some national projects. Of course, your Ford just came out before.
Yep.
I mean, just
Lenovo,
came out yesterday. Aflac is, booked out.
Google,
Aflac has booked out people twice. As recently as last month, we got two people on an Aflac shoot that's coming out. They'll be on their website. Um, Wells Fargo, they have us in a major role. That one's going to be rolling out soon. Just lots and lots of projects. Pretty much it's like if someone thinks of a company that's out there, then we have access to that company. Of course, there's some we work with more than others. But they're out there, and we have access to all of them. We're licensed in California, so obviously California was shut down, so we weren't doing as much out there. But as we were in the entire Southeast, which is where we're located in the Southeast,
Hmm.
but we work with casting directors all over. And these are the heavy hitters in the game.
Hmm.
So
And
that's
we,
why people, they have to be right. I can't just take someone and they've never done anything and not put them through some type of training before you go in front of someone with an Emmy award. I would not want to embarrass that actor by not having them prepared and kill their confidence after they leave.
mhm.
But at the same time, I want to be respectful of that casting director for even considering us to start with. I want to be respectful of them and not waste their time by sending someone that's not prepared.
Let me say this before we continue on so your audience can understand what kind of company we are. And it's going to make a difference because they'll know how to look at Stisa. We're a company that takes people with no experience. They have a dream and they have a passion, and we can provide everything else. We can provide the training, we can provide the opportunities. All these other big agencies that have been around for decades, they don't do that. They expect you to come with a resume already working. You set up your own training, and you have a ton of experience. And they've got about, on average, like 400 people on their roster. We're not going to ever have more than 150 on ours. So, we're different. If they think they want to, just go on to these big agencies, they're not going to have a chance. We're providing a chance. That's the niche. Now, of course, there's a lot of good and bad things that come with that. But if you just do what we tell them to do, they will go far. We take care of our end. If the prospective actors take care of their end, they're bound to be successful because we've got the same connections, thanks to Miss Lisa here, that these big agencies that have been doing it for 50, 60, 70 years, the same connections. So, if you truly have a dream and a good work ethic, and this is something you want to get into, then you just can't walk into any agency and think you're going to get, accepted. But with Stisa, there's a good chance you may, provided you show us a few things first.
Well, yeah, you have to come prepared for us.
Right.
Because when we're, sending somebody to audition for Warner Brothers or Lifetime or Disney or Nickelodeon, and we work with all of those casting directors, then we have to know that you can be professional and present yourself in a
Right.
good way before we send you over to them.
Well, there's stipulations. You have to attend our training. That's key. There's things that you have to know just to walk on set, much less anything else after that. So, if you get with Stisa, you got to be prepared to work hard and get into the business from the ground up. And we give you cutting edge information. And there's no way you'll fail. If you fail, it's because you gave up on yourself. It's not because Stisa didn't do their end. It's because, they just didn't realize the grind, and maybe they got in over their head. But if they just go into this, with a good, clean, healthy, mindset, they can do this.
Or maybe the audition came when they were on vacation.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
figured,
this is not a business.
they
You
do
say
not
no.
want, they don't want to, take time out of their vacation.
You don't say
to do
no.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a priority. Show business is a priority in your life.
We had that happen yesterday. She's on vacation and she received an audition for a Wrangler commercial. The Wrangler jeans commercial.
Right.
So she had to know, all right, this comes with the business. Fortunately, she's one of our seasoned actresses. So, she works quite a bit. So she knew it. She wasn't upset. She wasn't saying, okay, I'm on vacation. I can't do this. She knows it comes with the territory. Turn it
Hmm.
around, get it turned in.
Let me say this. We're modeled against the top agencies in New York because that's where we worked. And, it's not LA, it's not Atlanta. We model ourselves against the best agencies in New York, and that's how we carry it. So we have certain expectations that got to be met because the opportunities we have here are just way too good to just blow it on people who just can't get it together. So,
Right.
there is certain protocols that you have to meet. It's not just come join Stisa and we're going to take anybody, because we don't.
Mm-mm.
Just come prepared and just have the passion. That's the biggest thing I think that you could do for yourself if you want to get into this business is
Hmm.
just be prepared and be open minded. Have a learning spirit.
Yeah, because I know it seems like every time I go on vacation that I get an audition that comes in, which is awesome. So, and it's
Well,
usually,
with ours, Justin, with ours, we always went with our equipment. We've been
yeah,
known to go on vacation, take our equipment. He gets an opportunity. We will move furniture inside the room.
Right.
hmm,
We will get the best lighting and we will take out whatever time we need before we go on the beach to do this audition, which typically takes, no more than an hour. So it's not like you're killing your day. And at the same
hmm,
time, we did it. We didn't say no. And he's got an opportunity where,
yep.
that he might get something out of.
I remember, I think it was last year that Miss Lisa, you had to, he had exams, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a big audition come up. So you drove all the way to Georgia,
Yep.
set up in his dorm room
Yep.
to do this audition the same week he had exams.
Yep. And it
And
happens like that all the time. Every single time. And he says this, he's like, Mom, every time I have something big going on, I get an audition. And
mhm,
without fail, he's had a big audition every single week, a final exam since he started college. Every single time. But he's come to expect it now. So
yeah,
who would turn down, some of the opportunities that he had? I know the one you're talking about was Ethan Hawke, and it was for a show called The Good Lord Bird, that was on HBO, but it was also during final exams, so we had to get
hmm,
it turned around. And it happens. Bookings happen during his finals as well. So I
yeah,
remember he was at school in Indiana and he booked a print ad in Atlanta, and it was on Thanksgiving weekend, and he came home, and actually the day before Thanksgiving. So he took his exam early, we booked him on a flight, came home, South Carolina, then went down to Atlanta the next day, shot the scene, came back, and enjoyed Thanksgiving. And then that Sunday, headed back out to school. So it is a grind. It's not always convenient, but when it comes out and you're on that website or you're on TV or you're in the movies, or in his case, you're being interviewed by the Hollywood Reporter or Huffington Post or The Root, it's like all these good things come about because of that sacrifice that people make. But they have to have a passion. They can't just say, okay, I'm going to do this because I want to do it. Not, or I'm going to do it even if I'm not good at it. You have to have that talent and that passion and that discipline.
Get
And that's what makes it work out
right.
good.
Get comfortable being inconvenienced.
Hmm.
And
hmm,
what have I been saying the last probably month or so during the classes? Life begins outside the box. So if you just want to live your life inside the box and work in a cubicle, nothing wrong with that. That's what you
hmm.
want to do, then you go ahead and you do it and be good at it. But if you want to be an actor, that's not going to be good enough for you. So live outside the box, get comfortable being inconvenienced, and you can do
Hmm.
that. You can get comfortable with that because you're preparing constantly for that opportunity. And then when it comes, you're excited to perform. So, we're looking for actors, not,
Hmm.
people who, not hobbyists who want to do this as a side gig.
Yeah, because the ones who actually come, especially for auditions, again, to kind of lean back to when me and you are doing our taping is, I know my lines have come in. The great thing about being prepared, once you're prepared, then you can start having fun.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the more you, and of course, the more you practice, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and
The
it just
easier and
becomes a
more fun
lot.
it gets.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still you still got to find a way to get out of your comfort zone because there's um, a lot of jobs out there that requires you to maybe do something that you're not comfortable with doing, but you're still doing a job. You're an actor. You have to find a way to get comfortable. Um, which to me, the most fun I've ever had, other than the show of ATL, is just being in class, being able to interact with everybody. And of course, like we said, with COVID, everything had to go to Zoom, but the classes have just been so much fun because again, you get to interact with your other other friends who are actors. You're rooting, like we said before, you're rooting them on. You're trying to improve everybody's skills. So, that's
Right.
just the great part of being an actor is being around others who have the same passion, and it just helps keep you moving forward and staying positive. And that's
It's
one of the
something
greatest things about Stisa.
Yeah, it's something comforting about being around like-minded individuals, especially, it's such a small group in South Carolina and North Carolina of people that are in the acting field. Down here, sports is king in the entire Southeast. Everybody knows sports is king. But to
Yeah.
find other people that are interested in entertainment and the arts and that are actively pursuing it, that's comforting. It's reassuring. It says, hey, I'm not the only one that's trying to go for this dream. And we're starting to see the results of people pursuing those dreams because now, you think we've had people on Lifetime TV and we've had people work with Warner Brothers and Google and all these companies and now for us to be doing callbacks and chemistry reads with A-listers. So we're starting to see the results
Yeah.
of all that preparation and discipline and patience and it's now all starting to come to fruition. So it's a beautiful thing to watch our Stisa family members grow and blossom in their careers and build their resumes and get IMDb credits. Because, most people that start with us, they don't have IMDb credits or extensive resumes. But throughout the years, you guys start building them. You think, how much you have now, you got multiple credits and TV and commercials and I mean, just all types of non-union commercials, SAG commercials, just all types of things happening. So it's wonderful to see that.
Let me say this, we're more than welcoming to seasoned actors as well. It's not just people just starting out. We always looking for people who have been in the business and haven't been treated the way they should have been treated because they're working amongst 400 actors and it's a cattle call for them. With us, it's not like that. Everybody pretty much gets individual treatment. So, if you're an actor that's done some work in the past and you're not satisfied with who you're with, then I can't imagine you not being satisfied with Stisa.
Well, I appreciate y'all's time this morning. Y'all took to talk to me. Appreciate y'all coming and sharing your information with everybody who Stisa is. But before I let you guys go, I just want to say a big thanks to both of y'all again, over and over, for all you have done for me, everybody you've done for
Oh,
Stisa. And I couldn't be where I am now without you guys' hard work and dedication to keep me working. I mean, I've been busy this year. It seems like I come off one set, 2 weeks later, I'm on another. So it's flowing. So thank you guys so much for all your hard work that you put in for us to keep us successful and moving. Um, and I look forward to seeing y'all back in class, I believe this coming weekend.
This
Um,
Saturday.
yes, I'm super excited about that. And I'll see you tonight, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, well, I've already got a plan set and we're going to have a lot of fun with this one.
well, Daniel, thank
Nice.
you for having us.
Yes.
We appreciate you always looking out for the Stisa family. And,
Of course.
you mean the world to us. Purple
Oh,
Heart,
thank you. Well, that means a lot to me too. And I promise I'm working on maybe one class we can just work on getting excited for bookings. Just, just
Well, that's part of the emotions class we're working on tonight. Remember, we're doing
I'll
emotions.
get my excited face ready.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
y'all have
also
a
want to
good
say
rest.
you've always been a pleasure to work with too, Daniel. So, it goes two ways. You've always got a learning spirit. You're excited all the time in your own way. I know you get more excited when you're in front of that camera and you're actually working on it, but you've always been a pleasure to work with, and Stisa's fortunate to have you.
We
Well, thank
are,
you
we
for
are.
that.
He's a
Thank you for that.
with positive attitude, discipline, and I know that some of those auditions didn't come at a convenient time, but you still made it
Yeah.
happen. You hung in
Oh yeah.
there. And even in the midst of COVID, you hung in there. And we just appreciate you, Daniel. We really, really do.
Well,
Daniel, Detective
well, thank
Zimbrick.
you. Okay. Now Sean Evans stunt double, which is pretty cool.
John Evans, Tom Double, Ford guy, North Carolina Education Lottery guy. I mean,
But it's
goes on and on.
I mean, in 3 years, I've built up a pretty good resume.
You have been. You certainly
So
have. You've been working.
I
You've
have been. It's been fun. Well, again, I appreciate y'all, and again, I look forward to seeing y'all this weekend, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Daniel.
much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.